Today, President Volodymyr Zelensky visited Bakhmut, located near the front line, to boost the morale of the fighting soldiers. Although Russian forces outnumber them, the Ukrainians are much more motivated to fight, so the Russians are opting for long-range attacks. Yesterday, the Kremlin targeted dozens of combat drones at Ukraine's critical infrastructure. I want to tell you that the fate of all Ukraine depends on this front. We do not want the same tragedy to happen in other Ukrainian cities as well. That is why you are carrying a huge burden on your shoulders. The determination of our forces is not enough. We need modern weapons from the West. We are grateful to the United States Congress and President Joe Biden for their support so far, but we need more supplies. Even though Ukraine's air defense system shot down most of the enemy drones, the impact of yesterday's attack was still substantial. In Kiev alone, drones damaged 9 residential buildings. Local authorities report that there are no fatalities. The latest explosion was so powerful that the walls shook. The view outside the window indicated that there was a fire, but I couldn't see the fire. I quickly realized that the flames had taken over the floors above the 5th floor. Russia has been using combat drones in Ukraine for weeks. Meanwhile, Antonio Guterres continues to refuse to send delegates to Kiev to determine their origin. The United States accuses the United Nations Secretary General of succumbing to Russian threats because the failure to do so is hampering the investigation.
Ukraine reported evidence of Iranian-origin drones being used by Russia to attack civilian infrastructure. Other countries, including the United States, have since supplied the UN with additional information and analysis regarding this violation.
According to Ukraine, Britain, France, Germany and the United States, Iran is responsible for the drone deliveries to Russia. Confirmation of these suppositions would demonstrate Tehran's violation of a 2015 United Nations Security Council resolution. What the UN administration is doing is unacceptable. The impunity of Iran and Russia is leading to an intensification of actions. This is a violation of Security Council resolutions and a threat to international peace and security. The United Nations must justify its decision. Meanwhile, Vladimir Putin met Alexander Lukashenko in Minsk yesterday. Kiev is clearly concerned that the Russian president arrived in Belarus with a staff of ministers. Ukrainian intelligence does not rule out that Russia may be preparing another offensive from the north. Considerations of Lukashenko's subjectivity cannot be taken seriously. He is basically executing the tasks at the moment. His dependence on Putin is complete. In fact, Lukashenko, having opened the borders for Russia to attack Ukraine, is fully part of the continuing war. At a press conference after the Minsk meeting, Vladimir Putin said that Russia is not invading the sovereignty of Belarus. According to the United States, this statement contradicts Russia's actions.
President Putin, at the same time, since the earliest days of this conflict and in the weeks preceding this conflict, we have seen the Lukashenko regime essentially cede its sovereignty, cede its independence to Russia. We saw Russian forces mass inside what should have been sovereign Belarusian territory. We've seen attacks launched from what should be sovereign Belarusian territory. And now we hear these comments from President Putin and from Lukashenko. But I think the track record speaks much louder than anything these two leaders could say.
Ukrainian General Valery Zaluzhny, in an interview with The Economist, said that Russia is preparing 200,000 new troops for a major offensive that could come even from Belarus. The commander said the offensive could take place as early as next spring.